Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. I'm Fuzz, and today I've got a couple more new 4K releases that I wanted to give you my thoughts on. They just came out this week, so I'll be doing essentially my version of a 4K review for these titles, which really is nothing more than me just giving you my take on the releases from one collector to another. But today we're going to be talking about the new 4K release for Lethal Weapon, which I have here in the Ultimate Collector's Edition Chunky Box. So I'll show you everything that's included with this release, and of course, I'll be giving you my thoughts on the transfer as well. And then I'll also be talking about the new Criterion 4K for Sorcerer, 1977 William Friedkin film, and one of my favorite William Friedkin films. So I'll be showing you what's included with this release, and of course giving you my thoughts on the restoration for this one as well. So that's what's on the menu today, and without any further ado, let's just get right into it and rock this. All right, so starting off with the big one, Lethal Weapon here, and I'll put this up on the stand, but you're going to see the reflection from my window because this has a clear plastic slipcover over this edition, so I'm not going to leave it up there for very long. In fact, we may as well just get right into the packaging on this one. I'll show you that first, and then I'll talk about the restoration. But this is a great edition, very cool edition. You know, Warner Brothers, they've really been stepping it up with their chunky boxes. Their collectible editions always end up being much nicer in hand than they appear, like if you're just looking at it on a website or something, right? Once you get these bad boys in your hot little hands, wow, they always seem like they're so much nicer releases than you would think just based on what you saw online. But let's get right into the packaging here because I want to get this plastic slip cover off of here so I can actually get rid of the reflections. But yeah, this whole thing, I don't know if I've ever seen a chunky box with a plastic slip cover, you know, with a clear plastic slip cover here. So let's take this off here. You got essentially the target outlines there and the title, and of course the bullet holes. And then on the back side, there's a gun there. So I don't want to keep the slip cover on. It's so much easier if I can just do that for you guys, right? Like keep it up there for you guys. But anyway, you get a really pretty straightforward artwork, right? But it's the classic artwork, the classic image of them that we all know and love, right? Now, they don't do a whole lot with the front cover of this, but they do put some spot gloss in the eyes. So, and I don't know if you can see that with the reflection or not. I don't know if I can get the reflection on it right. You can kind of see it there a little bit. So, and then on the back, you do have some spot gloss on the logo there. But this is a deluxe like steelbook chunky box, right? So you get the outer rigid hard box, but you also get the steelbook inside. So let's take a look at the steelbook here real quick. Put this out. I'll set that right there. The steelbook's really cool. And by the way, this release, it comes in different versions, right? If you don't want this fancy chunky box, you don't have to get that. In fact, I think it's largely sold out. So you may have to get just the standard edition 4K. Although I think you can still get these steelbooks, just like a standalone steelbook. I think you can still get these, and the, of course, standard edition 4Ks with maybe a slipcover or something. But but those are your options at this point. I think I saw that Diabolic DVD still had copies left of the chunky box on their website, and I'll put a link in the description below. I don't know if those will still be available after this video is out, but I'll go ahead and put the link for you guys anyway in case they still have a few copies left and a few of you are able to get lucky and secure one. But the steelbook's really cool here. I really like the steelbook, and you know, the smiley face bullet holes, those are actually indentations in the steel. I guess we would call that debossing, right? Yeah, that's actually in the steel there. Oh, sorry. Hard to see what I'm doing here, but yeah, they're actually impressions in the steel. So very cool. And of course, you got that on the back. And then let's open this up and see what we got inside here. You get 2 discs. Actually, let me take these discs out here so you can see the art on the inside. All right, so I got the discs out here. There you go. Check out that artwork. That's pretty cool. I don't know if you guys are getting reflections or not here. Bear with me here. It's hard for me to see what I'm doing. But yeah, I like the internal artwork on this steelbook. I think it's pretty cool looking. But essentially, that's what you get. 2 discs layered on top of each other or one on top of the other like that. But it's a nice steelbook, and the steelbook itself is nicer in hand than it would appear just from viewing it online. So I was pretty happy with this steelbook. The whole body target outline is kind of glossy, right? Where the red is kind of a matte finish, right? And then of course the impressions on the bullet holes there. But very cool stuff. Let's see what else is in this box set here. Again, I guess I should show you the full thing. Let you see the spine there as well. And then you get a packet here with all the other goodies in it. And again, rigid, chunky box, right? All right, here. Let's open this up and see what we got here. All right, so you get a poster and some art cards. The poster, I'm not good at doing this kind of stuff on the thing. You get that poster, and then you also get, of course, the classic poster there, right? So I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but let's take a look at the art cards, because one thing I have noticed about Warner Brothers is their art cards are usually pretty good. They're nice and glossy, and these are no exception. You get some great glossy art cards here. So there's one of them. Check that out. And we'll probably see a bit of a reflection there, but there's that. And they're double-sided. You got stuff on the backs too. There's that. The front, one side is glossy, the other side is not, of course. And there you go. And I'm not going to show you every image on both sides, but actually that one's pretty cool. So get that art card, little Danny Glover on the back there, and then good stuff. So yeah, I actually like their art cards. Warner Brothers gives you a little bit better quality on the art cards. And you know, I'm not a big, I mean, I don't care that much about art cards in general, but if I'm gonna get art cards in a set, I like them to be nice, right? And when they're nice and glossy like that, just makes them a little bit more collectible, right? So yeah, I kind of dig that. So that's essentially what you get with this set, and I'll show you the target outline action here one more time, just so you can see how that works and how that comes off like that. Pretty cool stuff. I like that. Oh, and then on the back, the gun is over the logo once you put the plastic slipcover on. But I like those plastic slipcovers. I'm a big fan of that when they do that with steelbooks. And I don't think I've ever seen that done with a chunky box like this before. You know, it's possible it has been done before, and I just didn't get that title, but this is my first time noticing that being done for a chunky box, so I can appreciate that. But now I can put that up there. You can look at it while I'm talking about the restoration, and I don't have to worry about the reflection. All right, let's talk about the 4K restoration here, which I have to admit I was pretty damn impressed with. It looks fantastic. Now, I should note, this actually includes both the theatrical cut and the director's cut. And what's notable about that is we never got the director's cut on Blu-ray. I did a little research on this, and I think we saw it released on DVD at one point, the director's cut, but we never got a Blu-ray release of the director's cut. And honestly, when I was watching this, I don't know if I've ever even seen the director's cut before. I mean, I did have it on DVD back in the day, but it was like one of those 4-pack, like quadruple feature deals where all 4 films were in a single DVD case. And so I don't know if they included the director's cut in those, and I don't have it anymore, so I don't remember, because it does provide a little extra context for the film. But when I was watching this, there were a couple scenes that I didn't remember seeing before, or if I had seen them, it had been so long since I'd seen them that I didn't remember seeing them before. So I was pretty excited about that. I'm glad that we got the director's cut in 4K. But the transfer on this was pretty awesome. It's definitely the best this film has ever looked on home media, and possibly the best this film's ever looked, period. I went and compared it to my old Blu-ray. When I was done watching it, I went and popped in my Blu-ray, and there were a few key scenes that I checked out on my Blu-ray. And then after I watched them on Blu-ray, I went back to the 4K and watched those same scenes just to get a sense of how big of an improvement this actually was. And I was stunned at the difference between my old Blu-ray and the new 4K. It really does look just incredible. You get so much more detail than we saw in this. A lot more detail, and the colors look incredible, right? The colors, Well, compared to the Blu-ray, the colors seem like they're a lot more dialed in, right? They have a more natural look to them, right? They seem more realistic, right? I mean, the colors still pop in all the appropriate places that you would expect to see the colors pop in, but they just seem a lot more dialed in. They don't seem so overblown and washed out or whatever, high contrast or whatever. The colors just didn't look that good on the old Blu-ray, right? They look amazing on the new 4K. But generally speaking, the 4K just, as you would expect to see with 4K restoration there, and with HDR, there's just so much more depth and presence to the image, and that is definitely noticeable on this. Again, I noticed the real difference. Like I watched this at first, I was like, "Yeah, that looks great." I could tell it looked great right away. But I didn't realize just how great it looked until I went back and compared it to my old Blu-ray. Then I was just like, okay, yeah, I found that pretty stunning. I found the new 4K to be pretty stunning. So now I've heard a number of people out there suggest this could be a contender for a top 4K of the year. That's possible. I don't know if it'll make my number one. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't make my number one of the year, but I think there's a very good chance that this will make my top 10 4Ks of the year. When I do my year-end roundup in December, I would not be surprised if this ended up on that list. So yeah, fantastic restoration. The colors look great. The depth, the presence, the vibrancy, the vitality, it's all there in the 4K restoration. So if you're a fan of this film, I don't think you're going to be disappointed with this 4K. Okay, so now a quick note about the special features. That's the one thing I don't really like about Warner Brothers. They're pretty light on special features. I would have loved to have seen a new feature-length documentary or something like that on the whole Lethal Weapon franchise, and a retrospective on the impact of Lethal Weapon on the action movie genre, right? But no, we didn't get anything like that. I mean, we did get a couple little featurettes. One is kind of a tribute to Richard Donner, which I do appreciate, and then another short featurette about Lethal Weapon. But they're pretty short. I think they're like, I can't even remember. I think 7 to 15 minutes or something like that. They're not very long, and there's only a couple of them on there. But the big benefit of getting this on 4K, setting those special features aside, is the fact that you get the full director's cut of the film. So that was a pretty big deal. But aside from that, yeah, the special features aren't really anything to write home about. All right, so if I had to give this a fuzz score, I would give this an 8.5 out of 10. And it's based almost entirely on the restoration, right? And of course, I'm a big fan of chunky boxes, but not everybody's going to have the chunky box. You may just have you may have just gotten the standard 4K or just a steelbook by itself. But yeah, I think 8.5 out of 10 sounds about right. I'd rank it a little higher if the special features were better. But yeah, this is mainly based on the restoration and the fact that it just really is a fantastic restoration. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10 sounds about right to me. By the way, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, do me a favor and please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do, don't forget to activate those notifications as well so you can be alerted whenever I'm posting videos that you might be interested in. Also, don't forget to like the video as well. It really does help with the algorithm and the channel's visibility on YouTube. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. All right, so let's move on to Sorcerer next. I've got the new Criterion 4K release here. I was really excited that this one got a 4K because this is one of my favorite William Friedkin films. It's a 1977 movie, and yeah, I think it's one of his best films. I mean, it's a tough call between this and To Live and Die in LA, but I don't know. I think this one might actually edge out to Live and Die in LA for me. It's just such an interesting and compelling film. But let's take a look at the packaging first here, because I always like to focus on that before we get to the restoration here. Now, Criterion. Criterion doesn't always do the best packaging, right? A lot of times they just give you this standard clear case for their 4Ks, and I don't like it when they do that. I like it when they do something like this, where they actually give you a slipcover and something a little different, something a little extra special. Now, the one thing that's weird about Criterion's packaging is you would expect with a side-loading slipcover that the title would go in this way, right? But the way they do it, they reverse it. They make it go out the opposite way. and it kind of screws with my brain a little bit, right? Because you want to go put it away, and your instinct is to like go in the other side, right? But no, they do things backwards, and I think they just do it to be artsy, and to be, cutting edge or something like that. But I still think it's kind of cool because it is a little bit different. You don't see that from other boutiques out there. They're the only ones, to my knowledge, that do this whole reverse, side loader thing, right? I guess that's what you would call this, a reverse side loader, a side loader that's, slides in from the right rather than the left. So anyway, let me show you the artwork there on the back there. There's the front. And you get there's the back there. You guys want to check that out briefly. And then you get a little digipack inside here, a little explosive action there. And let me open this up here. There is a little booklet that you get, and there are your discs. You get 3 disc set, 1 4K and 2 Blu-rays. And I'll just show you the whole art on the back there. There you go. So now I'll be the first to admit, I'm not necessarily the biggest Criterion fan. I don't buy their titles as often as I buy, from other boutiques. But when they release a title that I care about, I'm absolutely going to do it. And Criterion, they always do really good work. I have to give them that. I may not always be the biggest fan of the types of movies they release. They have a lot of titles I just don't really care about that much. But when they have something that I care about, yeah, they always seem to do a really good job with the restoration. But I'll get to that here in just a moment. All right, so let's just take a look at the book here real quick. Their books are kind of a trip too, right? It's not like a standard stapled book. It actually kind of goes out like that, right? You can see all that. There's some essays there. I don't want to get it too out of control there, so I'll put it back in place there. But yeah, you get a little bit of book, a little bit of extra information. So yeah, the packaging on Sorcerer, it's fairly decent. The slipcover, it's a little bit thicker. It's not like some flimsy Scream Factory or Kino Lorber slipcover. They've actually doubled up a little bit on the slipcover, so it's a little bit thicker than that. It's a little bit nicer. And I do appreciate that when they do this kind of packaging for some of the Criterion releases. I have a couple others that are like that too, where they have the same kind of slipcover, the reverse loader slipcover and whatnot. And I like that design, even though it does kind of mess with my brain a little bit, when I'm just casually handling my Criterion releases. All right, so let's talk about the restoration here. This is another one where I was extremely impressed with how the transfer came out. And just like with Lethal Weapon, I did the same thing. I went back and I grabbed my Sorcerer Blu-ray. After I watched this, I went back and I rewatched a couple scenes on my Blu-ray, and then went back and compared them on my 4K. And it was the same kind of deal. This is a massive upgrade from the old Blu-ray, which I think came out in like 2014, if I remember right. And I love this film. I mean, I was fine having it on Blu-ray, but I had a feeling the 4K was definitely going to be an improvement over this old Blu-ray, because I remember watching this when I first got this. I was like, man, it's not really the best looking Blu-ray, right? But I figured, that maybe that's just William Friedkin's style or whatever, the type of film stock he used or whatever the case may be. But no, they've actually cleaned it up quite a bit on here. I mean, it still has that filmic look, but they cleaned it up quite a bit, and the image is gorgeous. It really is. Again, you get all that extra depth and presence that you would expect with a 4K release. It's all there, and the detail on this release is off the charts. The detail is incredible on this. I can see so much more than I was able to see in this old Blu-ray. Of course, the colors pop too. That's another thing with 4K and the HDR and the wider color gamut. We usually would expect to see those colors pop, and we would hope that they would. And they definitely do here. Everything just looks amazing here. Now, if you've never seen this movie, I'll just give you a basic summary here. I'm not going to get into spoilers or anything, but essentially, these guys end up in a situation where they're having to transport a couple trucks of very old and unstable nitroglycerin across a South American jungle, right? And it's a real hairy situation. So, but that's it. That's all I'll say. It's a really fascinating movie and very intriguing, very compelling. This is the kind of movie where when the first time I saw it, I got locked in pretty quickly. and was just, almost mesmerized by what I was seeing transpire on screen. Right, it's just a really compelling film, and at least I felt that way. So yeah, Sorcerer is awesome, and the transfer, the restoration looks fantastic. So if you're a fan of this film, I don't think you're going to be disappointed in this restoration at all. It's easily the best it's looked on home media. I mean, most 4Ks are, but this is especially true in this case. It's a significant improvement over this old Blu-ray. So yeah, you can't go wrong with something like this. Now, with the special features, there's one key thing I wanted to note about this. The special features are awesome on this, and the main reason is because they include a full feature-length documentary on William Friedkin. And I've heard this documentary is a good one. It's called Friedkin Uncut. And they actually included that on an additional Blu-ray in this set, which I was super excited about. I didn't even know it was included until I got it in my hands and was reading the back cover, right? I didn't even realize that because, I've been hearing about this documentary and how good this documentary is. And I think you can stream it on Amazon Prime right now as well, for those of you who are interested, if you don't want to, wait to pick this up or whatever. But yeah, they included this documentary in here. And Criterion does that with their special features quite often. They will include a whole separate movie on Blu-ray or something that is related to the director or whatnot. And that's what they did here. So I haven't had a chance to watch Friedkin Uncut yet, but I am really excited to watch that. I'm probably going to watch it in the next couple days here because it's a doc that I've been wanting to see. And I hear it's one of the better, director documentaries out there. So that's the key special feature that I wanted to focus on. I think there's a few other things as well, but I don't really care about the other stuff. It's that documentary that I really was interested in. All right, so if I had to give this one a fuzz score, that's a tough one. I'm struggling between 8 and 8.5. I think I'm going to give this one an 8.5 as well, to be honest. I know it's the same as Lethal Weapon, but I do think that's appropriate for this release. It's an excellent release. It's the best it's ever looked, as far as I can tell. And you get great bonus features, right? I'd rank it higher if the packaging was cooler, like if they had a chunky box for it or something. I'd probably rank it as like a 9 or something. But yeah, I think 8.5 out of 10 sounds about right for this release as well. It's a fantastic release, and that extra documentary that they include, I would think that would be a pretty huge selling point for some. And if I'd known it was included in the release when I pre-ordered it, it would have just solidified in my mind that I was making the right choice by pre-ordering it. And the other thing I was worried about, I was worried that I was going to buy this and then 6 months later, Arrow's going to release their own chunky box edition, and they might. It's entirely possible, or it could be 2 years from now. Who knows, right? But what we don't know is if Arrow would include that documentary in their version. There have been times where the special features are different, especially when we're talking about Criterion, right? Criterion sometimes includes things in their special features that other companies do not. And of course, vice versa, right? But I'm just really glad that this release turned out the way it did, that it's a fantastic restoration, and that it has awesome bonus features. It made me feel a lot better about buying it, because I was just contemplating holding off for a little bit and just waiting to see if there was an Arrow release, but I didn't really want to wait on getting this on 4K, right? So I bought it on day one. So anyway, yeah, 8.5 out of 10. I think that sounds about right to me. And if you don't own this one on 4K yet, it's one I would definitely recommend adding to your collection if you're a fan of the film and a fan of William Friedkin. All right, so that about wraps it up for my my new 4K reviews of Lethal Weapon and Sorcerer. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Have you picked these up yet yourself? And have you had a chance to watch them? And if so, do you agree with my assessment here? And if you haven't picked them up yet, are either of these titles that you're planning on picking up at some point? I always love chatting with you guys and interacting with you guys in the comments, so make sure you leave me some feedback down below. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.